So today is National Grandparents' Day. It's also September 11th, and I'll record a video about that shortly. But today is National Grandparents' Day, and I remember both sets of my grandparents, my dad's parents and my mom's parents. And so we called my dad's parents Grandma and Grandpa. We called my mom's parents Kappa and Rennie, and also there's Dottie, Kappa's wife. And so with my dad's parents, we'll start on that side, I guess. I remember visiting them on occasion on long road trips. We'd go out and visit California. We never actually lived near them, so the grand sum and total of times I've visited with Grandma and Grandpa, I could probably count on one hand, probably five times, maybe, just maybe slightly more than that, but I don't think so. Probably five times or so. So I don't have a ton of memories of them. I do remember that Grandma, I remember her laugh very distinctly. In fact, the first time I met Nikki and heard her laugh, it reminded me so much of my grandma because they laugh exactly the same way, the same inflection, same tone, same everything. I was startled because I heard her laugh about something, maybe it was on the phone, and we were in the same room, and I was like, oh my goodness, my grandma's here. And it turns out, no, it was just Nikki, and they have an identical laugh. So I remember my grandma. She was always so sweet and kind. I remember going to their house, and we'd have Fruit Loops for breakfast, and we'd sleep on the floor in sleeping bags. And I remember it always smelled like coffee in their house in the morning. That's every time I smell coffee nowadays. And toast, coffee and toast. Every time I smell that, I'm reminded of my dad's parents. I remember my dad's dad. He was an avid biker, and he did all sorts of things. But I remember him biking and taking really good care of his house. He was always so happy and smiley. I remember we'd play games with them. We'd go fishing with them. I remember hiking with Grandpa and going fishing. Oh, there's a kid. There's Gwen. And I remember one thing I'll never forget is we were at Grandma and Grandpa's house. I must have been 12, 13, something like that. And we were bored to death, as kids often are when they're around adults. And we turned on the TV, and the thing we turned on, they used a word that I would never use, and immediately Grandma said, "That's enough. We don't watch shows that use that word. We don't need to watch those." And I've never forgotten that. So she felt it was important to be clean in what we watched. As for my mom's parents, let me close this. As for my mom's parents, Kappa and Rennie and Dottie, I remember they've lived in the same house the whole time I know them. I've known them. Yeah. Whereas my dad's parents, they moved at least once, I think. I remember their old house.
You moved 32 times.
I've moved a lot, yeah. But Kappa and Dottie lived in the same house my mom grew up in. And, Kappa, he worked for NASA. That's something I remember about him. Great mathematician. Invented some math, about stealth, radar deflection, something like that. Real smart guy. Speaks German, plays piano, and real cultured guy.
Wait, Kappa speaks German?
Yeah.
I never knew.
And I remember every time we'd go to their house, we'd play in their little dungeon, lower level. There were games and darts and other things. And we'd play out in their backyard that was really pretty. And I probably visited them same number of times as my dad's parents, maybe a little bit more, just barely, less than 10 probably though. They visited, my parents and Katie and Thomas visited Kappa and Dottie probably a lot more after I was out of the house because they lived closer in Quantico. But let's see, Kappa and Dottie, I remember they would always make us dinner, and we'd just hang out. He'd play piano. We'd sort of play on the floor. I remember their soft carpet. I remember one time going out to an all-you-can-eat buffet with them. Maybe we did that a couple times. What else do I remember about them? Not much, really. Like I said, I didn't spend much time with my grandparents at all. because we just didn't live close by. In fact, I've spent tons of time with Nikki's grandparents because they live just up the street.
Not just
They live 15, 20 minutes away.
22 minutes.
22 minutes away.
Whatever.
So
least.
we've spent tons of time with
something.
Grammy and Gramps. I've seen them thousands of times, so I know them very well. But anyway, I remember my grandparents and how cool, nice, and loving they were.